I can't believe it's happened so quickly, but the UK is officially freezing bank accounts today. We can see the news that came out this morning. The HMRC is using its new powers to raid taxpayers' bank accounts directly. But the most horrifying thing about this law being passed in the UK literally hours ago is I think it's potentially silently spreading to the rest of the world. Let's not forget who met with the Prime Minister of the UK this week. Yours truly, Donald Trump. And let's not forget what agreements they came to this week, because the US and the UK has just formed a quote-unquote special relationship. Now, we're going to come back to why I think this law just passed in the UK might be coming to America sooner than you think. But let's not forget, they typically pass these laws in threes. Now, which other country do I think might be coming under just a little bit of, let's just call it what it is, fire this week? Because we can see Slovakia, they just plan to develop a state-controlled QR payment system. That's right, starting in March 2026, there's going to be no cash payments in the Eastern European country of Slovakia. So again, I want to really analyze what's happening in the UK first before we start looking at all of the smoke and the fire that might be suggesting that these laws being tested and tried in the UK are about to spread to the rest of the world. Let's start breaking down what happened this morning. So we can see depositors in the UK have woken up to a little bit of a surprise. So the HMRC, this is the version of the IRS for the American viewers. The HMRC is in control of collecting taxes for the country. So now in the UK, imagine you wake up on July 2nd and you forgot to pay your taxes that were due on July 1st. Maybe you're $100 in arrears. Well, guess what? Now the government can just directly steal your money out of your bank account if you don't pay your taxes. And again, I want you to think about the slippery slope that might be coming here. Because again, it starts with taxes, and once this is normalized, where does it end? Imagine you buy too much steak for the month. Bank account frozen. Money even withdrawn out of your bank account. I don't want to get too conspiratorial yet, because you might not get on board with some of the crazy things going through my head until you see what is kind of going on here in the UK. Because this isn't new. This shouldn't be a shock to anybody watching this channel. We have been tracking very, very, very closely what the Bank of England has been talking about. They've been talking about confiscations and freezings in the UK for a very long time. Let's not forget, we've done multiple videos on this 41-page white paper that the Bank of England published a couple of years ago now. This is called Executing a Bail-In. They've literally written a 45-page white paper detailing step by step how they're going to be stealing your money. They're going to do it over what they call a resolution weekend. It sounds crazy. It sounds scary. A lot of people have seen the videos that I've made on the UK and they said, Luke, this can never possibly happen in a Western country. Well, let's not forget what this Western country has been doing recently. As of September 1st, who remembers this? This was something else we talked about here on the channel. Beginning September 1, 2025, the UK government will enforce a £3,000 daily bank withdrawal limit for all individual accounts. This sweeping change will affect millions of customers, even the pensioners and even small business owners. The new policy is part of the government's financial security initiative. Oh, but of course, we're doing this to combat fraud, curb money laundering, and encourage digital transactions. Again, there's that link. There's that little hint that I want you guys to be aware of. This isn't just an isolated event happening in the poor old UK. This is a part of a global push. A lot of people are thinking, okay, look, the UK, we had Brexit. They're out of Europe. They shouldn't be associated with what Europe is doing with their CBDC. Now, again, a lot of people think, okay, Britain, America, they're outside of Europe. Well, have a look at this. I found an interesting headline that I think is kind of fascinating here, and I think it might help to explain a little bit of what exactly is going on. Because a lot of people are framing this as an anti-Europe push, because we can see the EU is speeding up their plans to implement a digital ID and a CBDC. And have a look at how this new crypto task force has been framed. So, of course, America and the US has now aligned on crypto rules to challenge the EU and set a global benchmark. Now, again, America kind of has the reputation of being the one country around the world who's pushing back against CBDCs. President Donald Trump has said he's going to outlaw CBDCs. President Donald Trump has said, yeah, we're going to push back against all the craziness happening in Europe, and we're actually going to embrace freedom. They say that they're going to adopt Bitcoin. That's what President Trump has been talking about, but also signing executive orders about, which again is kind of strange when you think about, hang on a minute, it's September 24th, 2025. Donald Trump signed an executive order 9 months ago to not only build a strategic Bitcoin reserve, but to actually start buying Bitcoin. And again, this sounds like it's positive news, right? But when you actually look at what America is doing and saying, Scott Bessent kind of alarmed a lot of us recently with some interesting things that he had to say. Now, I'm not going to get into this Scott Bessent video yet until you see the link here to the UK. So let's start breaking down the UK and America's joint crypto task force that they signed again hours ago. Look at this, 22 hours ago. I don't think there's a coincidence here that America's president, Donald Trump, is meeting up with Keir Starmer. They're shaking hands. They're saying, oh, look at us. Distraction, distraction, distraction. And then underneath the surface, the UK is changing the laws for the tax authorities in the country to literally steal money straight out of your bank account. I don't think it's a coincidence. Well, let's break it down a little bit more before we get a little bit ahead of ourselves, so to say. So they're calling this new distraction or joint task force the Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future. Boy, isn't that a mouthful. That's what they're calling this. Now let's break down a little bit further where this new announcement could potentially be leading. We can see Rachel Reeves came out and tweeted this yesterday. The UK and US are deeply linked with 1.2 trillion pounds invested between us. Today, Secretary Scott Bessent and I have established the Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future, enhancing collaboration on key topics such as capital markets and digital assets. Now, why do I want you to pay such close attention to those words, capital markets? Because those are the words that just continue to pop up whenever we're talking about our good friends at the European Central Bank. Again, we've done a ton of videos looking at the European Central Bank and how they're talking about confiscating private capital and channeling retail savings into capital markets. That's the phrase they keep using. We can see this is a really scary speech. I'm going to play you the whole speech in a minute. But let's not forget what Commissioner Albuquerque recently said. She also said there is an urgent need to channel retail savings into European capital markets. Now, again, Europe, we're supposed to be doing different things than the UK is doing, right? And I mean, America and the UK, our brand new crypto task force, this is supposed to be challenging Europe. But when you actually dig beneath the surface, you can say they're all using similar language. capital markets, develop capital markets. What they're doing is they're looking for an excuse to freeze your money, channel that into their very own capital markets, and then they're going to take that money and they're going to invest it in whatever they want to invest it in. What they're investing it in is not within scope for today's video, but what I will maybe touch on is why I just think it's strange that Rachel Reeves from the UK is teaming up with Scott Bessent to create this new crypto task force. Let's just remind you what Scott Bessent had to say recently that actually shocked a lot of people who were expecting that America's pro-Bitcoin, anti-CBDC. Again, after this interview, you might start to understand why some people are saying maybe Bitcoin's just a trap. It's going to be used as a trap. Controversial statement, but let's listen in.
150 billion. What's the story on gold?
Look, we've got the large gold holding. I doubt we're going to revalue it, but we are going to keep it there, again, as a store of value for the American people. We've also started to get into the 21st century, a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We're not going to be buying that, but we are going to use confiscated assets and continue to build that up. We're going to.
So did you hear that? They're not going to be buying any more Bitcoin, but they are going to be continually confiscating assets to build that up. Those are his direct words. And obviously when this interview went live on Fox News, everybody was shocked. Hang on a minute. I thought Donald Trump was going to be buying Bitcoin in America. I thought Donald Trump was going to be outlawing CBDCs. But of course, Scott Bessent, I think, kind of told us the truth. I think he slipped up. I think he accidentally said the quiet part out loud. I seriously think that he might have accidentally exposed America's plan for what they are going to be doing with CBDCs and Bitcoin. Again, they're going to talk about outlawing CBDCs. They're going to talk about embracing Bitcoin. They're going to talk. They're going to make their voters happy. But what they're actually doing behind closed doors is far more sinister. And it is far more scary when you see Donald Trump openly meeting with, I need to be careful. I can't call Keir Starmer what I want to call him. But he is right now, he's pushing through a lot of laws that, let's just say, aren't rooted in freedom or sovereignty. This guy is not protecting your assets. He's not protecting your savings account because they've just made it incredibly clear. If you're a day late on your taxes, guess what? The authorities can now come knocking and without approval, openly rip money from your bank account if you haven't paid your taxes. It's kind of insane when you think about it. And I am shocked that nobody has been paying attention to what this means. Because all of a sudden, this is now starting to really, I think, say the quiet parts out loud. A lot of people have thought, oh no, but the banks have to get approval before they, raid my bank account or raid my home to get my money. So many people think, okay, the banks are a separate entity from the government. We've seen this is now no longer true. The government and the banks have teamed up, and the banks is just saying, yep, come on in. If my citizen or my customer at the bank hasn't paid their taxes, yep, go raid his bank account. This is now the status quo. And so many people think that they're protected by maybe holding gold or silver or putting money under their mattress. But what's really horrifying that I think I would like people to think about is, do you own any of that when the UK government right now is doing this? Again, do you own your own home if right now you say something online that offends somebody? You don't need to swear, you don't need to threaten, you don't even need to be mean. Right now, if you say something online, this is what happens to your home. They get the chainsaws out in the UK and they are literally kicking down your door and imprisoning you. This is not a conspiracy theory. Over 12,000 people in England every month are being arrested for social media posts. So my question to you is, do you really own your home if this is what happens to your home over a social media post? Think about that for a minute. Do you? I used to hold gold and silver buried in my backyard in a safe back in Australia. But imagine this. Imagine if I say something offensive, not even offensive, just deemed to be offensive, and this is what happens to my house. Do you really think any of your money is safe? Look, I personally don't. I personally think, and I have a little bit of a, to Michael's point, I have a little bit of a crazy opinion on this. I think unless you hold Bitcoin in one of these, which is a hardware wallet, I actually don't think you hold anything. Again, we're not talking about Bitcoin on an exchange or Bitcoin in Larry Fink's Bitcoin ETF. You don't own anything if you're trusting an exchange or trusting an ETF issuer with your money or with your savings. And you certainly don't hold any gold if you're trusting a bank to hold it for you. It's not long now until the banks have to start complying with this new law coming out of the HMRC. And they're also going to have to turn over your gold. So just because gold is slightly harder money than fiat money doesn't mean it protects you from what is coming. This is why, again, controversial statement, but I honestly, truly believe this. Unless you have your money in a hardware wallet in one of these, I don't think you own anything. I honestly don't think you hold anything. I think Bitcoin is the only solution for this. This is why I always encourage you guys to just get your hands on a hardware wallet immediately and start putting some money into Bitcoin. Hold it in a way where nobody knows how much money you have. This is your backup plan that hopefully you don't need. Again, I like to think that I'm not a doomer and a boomer here. I just like to think that this is a genuine solution that you guys can take advantage of. Because honestly, unless you've got Bitcoin in a hardware wallet, I honestly don't think you own it. So again, check out Ledger. You guys can get $10 of free Bitcoin with any Ledger you buy. If you want to buy a Trezor, they're also going to be giving you 5% off anything you want to buy with promo code Luke. I've got the Trezor Model T here. This is a touch screen hardware wallet. Again, security made easy. Highly recommend you go and get yourself any of the Trezors. You've got 3 options to choose from. I think it's an absolute no-brainer that you start backing up your Bitcoin the way it should be backed up today. Now, again, actually got a great comment here in the chat. I might address that before I get back into what is going on with the UK, because there is a lot going on here in the UK. It's not just UK centric, this new attack. I don't think it's a coincidence that, again, in the same week, Slovakia is planning to roll out state-controlled QR payment system for merchants and literally outlaw cash. And again, this is the path the UK is going on. If you can't get out more than £3,000 of a bank account, what happens if you got 30K in the bank account? A lot of people have got 30K. Well, you're going to have to make 10 trips to the bank, back and forwards, back and forwards, back and forwards. And you've just got to hope that maybe they don't execute this operational guide of stealing your money out of the bank account before you make your 10th trip. I mean, that's just a position I personally don't want to be in at all. These guys should not be trusted at all. Let's not forget, last week I did also make a video on the digital pound caps. That's right. the UK government is also saying, look, any digital pounds you hold, there's going to be a savings cap. You're not allowed to have more than £10,000 worth of digital pounds or stable coins. They are really coming after everything you own here in the country. A battle over stablecoin caps is brewing in the UK. This has all been happening recently. They are absolutely coming for your money. They're not slowing down, which is why, again, I think Bitcoin in self-custody is the only thing you can own. But, and again, Anastasia makes a great comment here in the chat. I assume money on brokerage accounts might be treated the same way as bank accounts. Ding, 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 ding. Absolutely correct. Of course it is. This is why I keep saying, unless you've got Bitcoin in a hardware wallet, it is not yours. Now, again, there's a great comment here I want to address. Won't they just confiscate hardware wallets? What happens if the UK government wanted to come to my home and steal this, my hardware wallet? This is a great question. And again, it's not unlikely that something like this could happen over a social media post. But what's really beautiful about Bitcoin is you actually have the ability to create a special kind of wallet that is called a multi-signature wallet. So all that means is if I want to move Bitcoin out of a wallet, I could split my wallet into 3 chunks, and I could create a wallet where I say, okay, to move Bitcoin out of this wallet, I need to sign a transaction with 2 keys. So the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is a government could walk into my house, steal my hardware wallets, but what if I had 3 hardware wallets distributed in 3 different locations? Government can't do anything. They can't steal your Bitcoin. And obviously you need to have backups for your Bitcoin backup words in case a government comes and tries to confiscate your hardware wallet. That doesn't matter if you have some of these titanium plates buried in your backyard. Again, these are life-proof, these are waterproof, these are fireproof, that has a backup to your hardware wallet. I want you guys to think of a hardware wallet as just one piece of your Bitcoin security. So you've got the hardware wallet, which has your 12 or 24 Bitcoin backup words on it, but then you also have those written down on titanium. So a government could, to the great question by Carol, they could come and steal your hardware wallet. They could come and literally bring a chainsaw to your house like they do in the UK if you post something mean online. But you could have one of these buried in the backyard with your precious Bitcoin backed up on it. That's why, again, I honestly think Bitcoin in self-custody is the only thing you own these days. Now, again, I also understand multi-signature wallets. It's tough. It's difficult to understand. But this is why I really like a solution that Bitvault has created. They have essentially created the Vault. It's an application that allows you to set up a Bitcoin multi-signature wallet in minutes. They simply make the process incredibly easy. I wish something like this was available in 2020 when I created my first multi-signature wallet. It took me about a week to figure out how to do it DIY style myself. But Bitvault literally streamlines the process, makes it easy. And right now they're running a massive promotion because they've just started this service. They've just built it. It's a brand new solution, and they're giving away lifetime access to Bitvault for $199. Highly encourage you guys to check it out. There is only 42 spots available worldwide, and I do know that less than half of those spots are available. So take advantage of that offer while it lasts. And this is a great potential solution that could protect you from when the government comes knocking, because they will come. They will absolutely come. These guys are making it incredibly clear. And again, I wouldn't trust any politician, even one who says he's going to be outlawing CBDCs and banning CBDCs. I just personally don't trust it. Now, again, where's the distractions? This is what happened this week. US firms pledge $150 billion of investment in the UK as a tech deal is signed. Why are these guys agreeing over tech deals when the UK is banning encryption? We've already heard that companies like Google, Facebook, they're all WhatsApp, they're all having to leave the UK because they're openly trying to ban encryption, meaning nothing's private over there. Look at this. This isn't just a conspiracy theory. Encryption under threat. The UK's backdoor mandate and its impact on online safety. This isn't this. I don't know how many times I've said this is insane in this video, but it is insane. Okay, this is not slowing down. Putting money under the mattress ain't gonna save you. I hate to say it. It's not going to save you. These guys are coming. They're not slowing down, and they're going to absolutely pillage as much money as they can out of the country, because this is just what bankrupt governments do. This is literally what they do. Now, again, a lot of people are thinking, oh, maybe a VPN will be the solution. We can see VPN searches in the UK are going absolutely parabolic. Guys, a VPN ain't going to save you. These guys are going to be aligning with Europe and their plans to launch a CBDC in October, 1 week away. Here we go. We're getting close. Oh, we are getting close. We are getting so close. Again, if you are in the UK and if you're looking for a way to get your hands on some Bitcoin anonymously, I understand peer-to-peer exchanges sometimes can be a little bit tough to understand. Maybe you should just mine the Bitcoin yourself with a computer in your own home. Again, if you do want to learn more about how you can mine Bitcoin yourself, I think Simple Mining is a great company for you guys to check out, because they not only sell you the mining machines and give you all of the advice and the tips and the tricks that you need to get started mining yourself, but they also have a hosted mining service. I use this myself. It's super easy. I set it up in about 2 minutes. All I had to do was send them a Bitcoin address, and I got my account set up in literally minutes, and I can choose where and what mining pool I want to be mining Bitcoin from. It's super easy. I don't think there's any excuse to not get started mining Bitcoin today. They're even going to give you guys, I believe, a 7-day free trial if you use the link down below in the description and tell them that this crazy kid from YouTube with a wild haircut sent you there. So again, take advantage of that if you are interested in learning more about how you can mine Bitcoin today, because this is, I think, a product in need. Michael's in Slovakia. My friend, I haven't done a mega deep dive into it, full disclaimer. But I just think Slovakia is going the way of the west of Europe. QR payments for all merchants incoming. We can see here the authorities state the introduction of QR payments is expected to bring substantial financial benefits. Oh, look at this. It's a good thing. Oh, it's such a positive. Let's bring in QR codes. Small businesses could save 400 euros per year. Restaurants may cut costs by 3,500 euros annually. Oh, and those hotels, they could benefit from 5,500 euros in savings. And large retail chains stand to save millions. You see how they frame slavery as some positive thing? Oh, but don't worry. It's not mandatory to start with. It's just the merchants. They've just got the option to save money. Oh, you'd be silly to not try it, right? Isn't that the same as China's central bank digital currency? That started as not mandatory, and now, if you get a bad social credit score, your entire bank account's cancelled. Of course, no cash in China. It always starts with a little slippery slope of, oh, but don't worry, it's not mandatory. Boy. I still, honestly, when I woke up this morning and I saw this, guys, if you're still in the UK, I don't know what to tell you. Please look into this. Think about, again, in a little bit more detail, what do you actually own if now your bank accounts is being raided? I'm incredibly interested by that. I'm very, very interested in that. Money on brokerage accounts, it's all gone. Michael says cold wallet is the best. Couldn't agree more. No hardware wallets can give anybody backdoor access. Cold cards are great. Again, I've literally used all hardware wallets. I don't necessarily have a dog in the fight. I love cold cards. I think they're great. I just think they're a little bit too difficult to use, Matthew, especially for newer people. I spent a long time figuring out how to use them. I've also used Bitboxes. They're cool. They're all right. They're not bad. I just think the easiest ones to use, probably these ones with touchscreens. I think touchscreens are just the easiest hardware wallets to use. That's why I like the Ledgers. They're also the only hardware wallet with a screen that the screen is actually controlled by the secure element in the device. This is the only hardware wallet that screen is actually controlled by the secure element chip. So you could make an argument, again, all hardware wallets are great and they're all secure. You can make an argument the Ledger with the touchscreen is the most secure. You could. Again, I think they're all great. I don't have a dog in the fight. I like Trezors as well. And they both have 12 to 13 years experience in the Bitcoin space. Oh, I can't speak that language. Don't ask me to. Mi español es mal entonces esta. I don't know what this is. Guys, the time has come. If you've got any money left in the bank account, this is your final warning. Get out of there. Get out of there. Go buy some Bitcoin. Stick it in your own self-custody. Learn to use the tools. Again, so many people say, oh, but Bitcoin, I don't want to use Bitcoin because there's no banking on Bitcoin. I can't get a loan in Bitcoin. Again, there's tools for every solution, guys. If you want to borrow against your Bitcoin, you can use a company like Firefish. They're a Bitcoin peer-to-peer marketplace that's going to let you get a loan against your Bitcoin. They're over-collateralized, so you know exactly where the yield is coming from. You're not trusting anyone. They use multi-sig vaults, meaning you always retain some sort of custody here. Again, I've got loans with them. I think they're great. I'm going to use them a lot more. So again, the tools exist. Firefish will even give you 30% off your fees if you use promo code Luke. That's right. I didn't say 0.3. I didn't say a 3% saving. 30% off. It's practically a giveaway. Go and check the service out if you want to learn how to use the tools. Again, you can become your own bank with Bitcoin. What did Barack Obama say? Bitcoin is like a Swiss bank account in your pocket. These guys know that Bitcoin is the solution. It is the escape valve, especially people like this.
On your second point, I tend to share your views. Nature doesn't like vacuum. And we started working on the digital euro way back. Actually, when I started my term 5.5 years ago. And I'm not claiming, parentality on the digital euro because my colleague Benoît Cœuré had already committed a speech on this matter before I arrived. But I certainly carried on with that project, and subsequently Fabio Panetta on the board and then Piero Cipollone, who has replaced Fabio, have taken the lead together with a very, very good team which is focused on accelerating the pace.
Oh.
And hopefully campaigning enough with all the stakeholders, meaning European Parliament, meaning European Council.
I don't want to listen to any more of that. You heard the quiet part out loud. They're accelerating the pace of rolling out a CBDC. And I think they already know the solution. I think they themselves are privately scrambling to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. Let's not forget Christine Lagarde's son owns Bitcoin. And when she got asked about it, she was fumbling and bumbling and, I don't know what to say. Let's not forget Barack Obama said this about Bitcoin previously.
The question we now have to ask is if technologically it is possible to make an impenetrable device or system where the encryption is so strong that there's no key, there's no door at all. What mechanisms do we have available to even do simple things like tax enforcement? Because if in fact you can't crack that at all, government can't get in, then everybody's walking around with a Swiss bank account in their pocket.
That was Barack Obama's response when asked about Bitcoin. Years ago, mind you. Look, these guys know. These guys know the game. They know the gig is up. These guys know what's coming. They know what's happening. I mean, who knows? Maybe they're responsible for the chart I'm about to show you. Maybe they are responsible for the supply suffocation going on right now in Bitcoin. That is accelerating. Again, do I think it's a coincidence that this trend is accelerating and going parabolic at the same time that CBDCs are being rolled out? I don't. And I think headlines that we woke up to this morning like this is only going to accelerate that move. HMRC is now blessed with new powers to raid taxpayers' bank accounts directly. Look at this. If you owe more than £1,000, they're coming straight for your bank account. Wow. What a day. If you joined us late, you can rewind the stream and watch the beginning of it where we broke down this new law in detail. Again, make sure you subscribe so you get notified for when we go live and break news like what just happened over the past 48 hours. And with all that said, thank you so much everyone who tuned in. See you on the next one. Please buy some Bitcoin. Not financial advice, but do you really trust these people? I don't.